back to Matthew's Ballistics. This is part 2 of episode 8. I just wanted to go over some of the pros and cons about casting and loading your own 9mm from lead. If you're going to do it, I recommend you clean your gun probably at least every 100 rounds or so. I know with, say, full metal jackets like this, you can get, you can go quite a bit further, before they really need to be cleaned, before they start having issues feeding and, reliability issues. With that being said, also, while shooting them, I noticed that the velocities were increasing a little bit at a time with each round, which is telling me that either the wax coating, which I think it's probably the wax coating, I used a little bit too much, and it was tightening the barrel up for each round. So you're increasing the pressure, which increases velocity. And also, I thought was really cool is the load that I was using was for being tested from a 4-inch barrel, and the velocities they were getting out of it were around 1,000, or about 1,100, give or take 1,100 feet per second. And so I used the exact same formula, 4.8 grains of tight group powder, set it to the MOA that I wanted, my dummy round from one of my previous videos. And I noticed that even out of my 3-inch barrel, those little compact Kimbers that me and my wife shoot, that we were actually getting much higher than 1,100 feet per second. We were getting in the 1150s, and even one round hit 1182, which I'm thinking out of a 3-inch barrel for a 9mm, that is moving with a 125 grain bullet, because it's not even a lighter bullet like 115 grain, it's 125. And those 124 grain cellular and pellet bullets, they're not the greatest brand of ammunition, but I've shot them out of several other caliber weapons, and they tend to feed and be really reliable. We did have one issue with them today. We had one, my wife was shooting a string of rounds off, and one of the rounds, the primer didn't ignite. So when the firing pin struck the bag of the primer, I checked it and ejected the shell and tossed the shell out away from us just in case it was just a slow primer and it was going to go off anyways, because that can happen. It actually did get struck, but the primer didn't ignite and the bullet didn't go off. And I've not had that happen to me before with any round I've ever shot, and I've shot quite a bit. That's the first time I've ever had a misfire, which it actually, my wife was the one shooting the gun at the time that it happened. Other than that, this bullet actually was recovered. This is a full metal jacket, and you can tell that it is barely damaged at all. I don't know if the camera will focus, but you can see the rifling where it indented into the case. I actually recovered that from a piece of oak that we were shooting at. It passed through the first piece of oak, and the tip of this thing was just barely stuck in the second piece of oak, and so I just pulled it out. It was still hot, and I just kind of wanted to talk about that for a second. I mean, that's a full metal jacket, and it's a 9mm round. It went through like 5 inches of oak, like an oak stump, and stuck into another piece of oak. Not nearly as powerful as my 454, obviously, we've seen in previous videos, but still, that's oak wood. That's not like talking about house paneling and walls and stuff, so it is very important not to use full metal jackets inside of a house, even if they're 9mm. They are nothing to slouch about. There's a reason why they go through walls, and that's because they don't deform. Even hitting something as hard as oak, and most walls in houses are not made like that. Most of them are drywall with some insulation in between, and it could pass through several walls of that before it even stopped. So somebody in the other end of your house could get hit with a round from your gun and from this end, and just shooting an intruder or something. It would go through them and go through the wall and the next wall and into the next room. It's a very likely scenario. So if you're going to be using them for self-defense, do not use full metal jackets. They don't tend to slow down for much at all. Other than that, so cons of casting your own bullets, they do lead the barrel up. They will cause, they're dirtier. They just are. Any gun that shoots lead bullets are dirtier, revolvers and stuff, so you gotta clean them more often to keep them reliable. Pros of doing it, it's cheap. Each one of those lead bullets, once I figured it up, I bought the alloy because I'm not using a pure wheel weight alloy like some people do, because I think anything over 1,000 feet per second needs to be harder than wheel weight, because it just starts to deform the lead and causes way more leading in the barrel, and actually could cause barrel obstruction. So once I bought the lead alloy and ordered it from Roto Metals, I blended it basically 50-50 with wheel weight alloy, and my rounds come out to, they cost me about 7 cents a piece to cast them once, and that's including the cost of my bullet mold. But we're also talking, I'd have to cast a few hundred rounds before that bullet mold even got paid for, maybe even close to 500. So let's say 10 cents a piece there, just for that, for a piece of lead, and then, paid way overpriced for my primers. I'm like 8 cents a piece on my primers, so that's 18 cents. And then the powder for it, I think only costs like 1.5 cents, is what it come out to. It's only 4.8 grains, and there's 7,000 grains in a pound of powder, so a pound of powder costs me $20 at a gun show. So, I mean, you can do the math. I think it costs about 1.5 cents for that. So we're looking right at 20 cents, and then I'm using already fired cases that were picked up off a gun range. So, I mean, yeah, 20 cents a round, and people are spending $20 plus, sometimes $25 for a 50-round box at a gun show or a gun store. I mean, you're talking 50 cents a round. That's insane for 9mm, and I just hate that it's come to that and the way that everything is right now. It's gotten to the point where going out on the weekend, to go to the gun range and shoot a couple hundred rounds at some targets, what I like to do for fun, it's gotten to where you can't really even do it for fun anymore, and that's just the reality of what we're dealing with right now, and it really sucks. But anyways, I just wanted to go over some of that stuff, and I hope you guys stay safe out there when you're shooting. Know what's beyond your target. That's probably the most important thing I could think of to tell anybody that wants to get into shooting guns, is you've got to know what's beyond your target. Other than that, I think my cast rounds come out great today, and I'm really proud of them. I don't want to see them past 1,200 feet per second out of a 3-inch barrel, because I really feel like that's a little bit high for a 3-inch barrel, even, because out of a full size, like 4-inch barrel, or like a competition handgun that has over a 5, maybe 5.5-inch barrel, those rounds could be seeing velocities as high as 1,400, maybe even 1,450 feet per second. I really don't think they'll ever hit 1,500 feet per second. You probably need like a longer, like an SBR type barrel or something, 8 to 10-inch barrel or so. But I believe in a 3-inch barrel, once you get up there about 1,200, you're probably getting close to the maximum pressure, if not maybe a little beyond maximum pressure for most handguns. And besides that, it's causing a lot of wear and tear on your handgun. I mean, at that point, it is like your recoil springs, your guy rod and everything. Luckily, those Kimbers that we shoot, they have steel guy rods and recoil springs. They're pretty well made guns, and they're very reliable. Other than that, I think that just about covers it, and hope you guys stay safe out there. I hope that everything returns to normal at some point, and we can actually go back to buying bullets cheaper than you can make them, especially 9mm. because that's always been one of those rounds that was just kind of a waste of money and time to reload yourself, and it's gotten to the point where if you're gonna buy, if you're gonna shoot 9mm and you gotta have it, then you're gonna pay $25 a box for it. So, anyways, you guys stay safe out there, and I've had fun shooting these videos, and I will continue to do so. I am working on getting a better camera setup and better computer for video editing, so I can do a little bit more. My computer, the reason why I don't put all the entry scenes and music into it and stuff like that, or write over and put little comments on the screen and stuff, is because it's basically maxed out for what I'm doing with it right now. But I am working on that. I'm looking into better camera setups with higher quality film, and looking into a better computer, whether I have to build one or I can find one that's gently used, that's capable of doing what I want to do with it. So, anyways, this has been Matthew's Ballistics, and I'll catch y'all next time in the next episode. See you later.